Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Leek, aka the Pervy Sage. Today we're discussing a new game that some of you guys may not have heard about. It popped up on my timeline. I thought it looked very interesting, and it looks very similar to a game that many of us, millions, like at least 12 million people have played at some point in their lifetime, and that would be World of Warcraft. Now, the reason we're discussing this is it also involves Kotaku a little bit. Granted, a 3-year-old article, but nonetheless, I thought it was worth pointing out some issues with the way things are today regarding game devs and some of the expectations, I guess you could say. The game's called Legacy, Steel, and Sorcery. Let's take a look at it. I actually thought it looked really good. And if you've played World of Warcraft before, you definitely will see a lot of familiar, it's okay. You know what? You'll see for yourself. It's definitely got a World of Warcraft feel to it. I mean, well, that character alone just screams World of Warcraft. Looks like you got some goblins up ahead. Ooh, nice helmet. Nope. Love the outfit, by the way. The open leg. What the? Just destroyed the house with the charge. She's done for. All right, so as you can see, the game kind of has a very, it's got a fantasy feel to it, but it definitely also has a very World of Warcraft feel to it. Character design, kind of similar, not exactly the same, but you can definitely tell it was made by some former WoW devs, right? The reason I'm bringing this out, I thought, one, the trailer looked really good. And then, as I said earlier, there was an article written about the game, the dev company here, what was it? Notorious Studios, I believe it. Yeah, Notorious Studios. So what Kotaku, well, actually, let me pull up the article real quick. All right. So I got it pulled up. Now, keep in mind, this is during a time, probably around the same time that Blizzard was going through some legal issues internally due to how they treated some of their female employees, right? Former World of Warcraft devs start studio where only female staffer is a dog. Fresh off the ongoing Activision Blizzard lawsuit, it's not the best look. I don't know why. I don't know why it's not the best look. Are they mistreating the dog? I mean, all we're looking for as gamers is good quality games. I don't care if they're made by a guy or a girl or a thing. I don't care. What I do care is your focus. What is your primary focus of the game? Are you primarily focused on making a good game, or are you primarily focused on pushing some sort of agenda? That's the biggest problem with games nowadays. It's not that the people making a game is a guy or a girl. That's not to a normal gamer a concern of theirs. Their concern is the best game. Now, I do think you could make an argument that the more and more we have certain groups of people on game dev staffs, the quality of the games go down. I do think you can make that argument. There might be a correlation. It doesn't necessarily equal causation, but I do think you can make an argument for that, because a lot of times, a lot of these people tend to fall under the title of activists, and they like to push their stuff. They wear their agenda on their sleeves, and everything that they do, everything they consume has to reflect their agenda, which is a problem. So let's go ahead and get into this article. Now, as you can see at the top, it was written October 27th, 2021. So again, it's almost 3 years old. But this article, I think, is still valid today because they still have the same mindset, which is a problem in the game community. It's a problem in Hollywood as well. Any sort of content creation, this is a problem nowadays. Ex-Blizzard developers who started Notorious Studios seem to have exactly 0 women on their development team. The staff page shows 9 developers, 2 advisors, all of which are men, and 1 K9 chief morale officer named Ellie, which means that the studio has more dogs than women. Yikes. What does it matter? Show me where you are required to have a woman on staff. Show me where you're required to have a man on staff. Look, one of the best games, well, one of the formerly best games ever made was World of Warcraft. And it was created by a bunch of dudes. Simple as that. Look, there's nothing wrong with having a small group of guys make a game. That's the way a lot of things have started. Apple, guys in a garage making a computer. Same thing with Windows. Okay? There are a lot of tech, a lot of games, a lot of things that we enjoy nowadays that start by a small group of people in a garage or somewhere else, just creating something because the passion that they have for what they're creating. There's nothing wrong with that. What the problem's going to come into is when you feel like you need to mandate and peer pressure people to put certain checkboxes into their group of people. That's the problem I have with this. Now, Notorious Studios is an RPG studio made entirely of former Blizzard developers, most of whom worked on World of Warcraft, which obviously from the game trailer you can tell it has a very similar feel to it. Although Activision Blizzard is currently under legal and public scrutiny for gender discrimination, a report from 2017 confirmed that at least 21% of their employees were women. Keep in mind, this is a 3-year-old article. So I believe that's already been settled, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. So presumably, the founder had met at least a couple of women who were skilled enough to work at one of the highest profile video game companies in the world. He just didn't hire any of them to be a part of the founding team. Kotaku reached out to Kalecki for a comment yesterday, but did not receive a response. If you don't want to hire a woman, if you don't want to hire a guy or whatever, look, I don't have a problem with that. Now, some might say, oh, well, it's discrimination. Look, I understand if you're interviewing people and you make the decision not to hire someone that you've interviewed specifically because of their gender, of their race. Yes, I get that violates the law. But I don't think it's illegal not to interview someone or to choose who you interview based on that. I don't know, because I just don't see, I don't know, again, I'm not a lawyer, but from my personal view, if you own a company, you're creating a company, you should be able to hire who you want to hire. It's that simple. I mean, just don't interview the people you don't want to hire, and then you probably don't have a problem. I think your problem is going to arise that, like I said earlier, if you interview them and find that they are in fact equally capable and merit and they're qualified, yet you choose not to because of a specific protected criteria, such as sex, such as race, right? But not hiring them because you don't want to hire them, or not interviewing them, excuse me, because you don't want to hire those people. I don't know. I don't see that as a problem. Let the guy cook. Let the guy hire who he wants to hire. In an interview with VentureBeat, Notorious Studio co-founder Kalecki acknowledged that Blizzard faces a major reckoning for gender discrimination and sexual harassment, blah, blah, blah. He said that the all-male team was also affected by Blizzard's troubles and offered a solution for avoiding their former employer's mistakes. So now you see what he's going. So what they're going to imply here, and what he probably has stated, is that he didn't hire women because he wanted to avoid the mistakes that they had at Blizzard. That's probably what this is all about, right? What's important is starting a culture and having no tolerance for harassment and things like that, and also being transparent and open. Agreed. He added that Notorious Studios has a flatter structure, no pun intended, right? Because it's all dudes, made up of people who wrote code, made art, and designed pieces of games rather than serving as leads or directors. Harassment usually comes from a subordinate superior sort of relationship. We're hoping that a flatter structure can address some of these problems, he said in an interview. So if you do have a small company, you're not going to have the same structure. So I can understand a little bit of where he's coming from there. Um, it's definitely a lot harder for men to harass women if there are no women to harass. That's true. So what? But the gender equity problem in game development remains. No, now this is a 3-year-old article, granted, but even then, there was no gender equity problem. Have you looked at the game dev? You can look at pictures like for I think maybe Unity, even World of Warcraft, their game for Blizzard. There's a lot of I've seen a lot of pictures floating around online of game dev groups from like the late 90s, early 2000s to today, and early on it was all dudes, which is what you would expect, but then now it's almost all women. And I don't think there is a gender equity problem in games. In World of Warcraft, they have trans people, they have gay people, they have bisexual people, they probably have non-gender identifying people, whatever they call themselves. Yeah, and then they have normal people, right? Guys, girls. There's no gender equity problem. I don't. This is the checkbox issue that I have a problem with when it comes to games, movies, TV shows. That's what all these people are focused on. Not making a good game, not making a good show. They're focused on those checkboxes. Again, they're pushing an agenda. Do women have access to the large amounts of venture capital funding that has become available to studio founders during the pandemic? I don't know. At Notorious Studios, the answer seems to be a resounding no. What? Look, have the women go out and make their own company like these guys did. Just because these guys made their own company doesn't mean they are required to hire women. Doesn't mean they're required to hire anybody they don't want to hire. That's not how this works. You're not required to hire somebody to check a box. That's not the law. The company lists Riot Games as one of its investors, which is still dealing with the PR fallout of its own discrimination reckoning following a class action lawsuit by its female employees. In light of all this, hopefully Kalecki will find some women to join his World of Warcraft guild. Now, if you know anything about Kotaku and anything that's gone on recently with them, Alyssa Mercante or whatever, you know that they do this for clicks. They do this for rage bait. They admitted that writing nice puff pieces, nice articles, game articles, informational articles about game devs and all this other stuff, they don't get the clicks. So what they do is they write articles that are purposely meant to piss people off because they want the clicks. They want people to come and read their article. So you cannot take anything they say with articles like this with any sort of merit. Take it with a grain of salt. Their whole idea here is to get clicks and at a very minimum push an agenda by putting peer pressure. You see this all the time on social media. They will be loud and proud about this type of stuff to the point where they try to push advertisers and pressure people higher up in companies to take certain action to kind of push their own agenda. And this is why I think Kotaku is a piece of shit. And I think it's why they are drowning and they're barely staying alive as it is right now. If you want to create a company, you hire who you want to hire. If you don't want to hire black people, if you don't want to hire white women or black women or gay people or whatever, I don't care. Just don't interview those people. Just be mindful of who you choose to interview. Because I think once you do interview them and you see that they're qualified, then you run afoul legally with choosing not to hire them if you use any of those protected criteria as the reason for not hiring them. I mean, look, I know we try to make sure everything's an equal opportunity. It's just we're people. That's not always going to be the case. People are going to have their own biases. People are going to have their own preferences. if you want to make a company and have only men working for you so you can avoid hopefully some of the drama that might come along with having women in a workspace, sure, I don't care. If a woman wants to start their own company and make it a woman led, woman only company, I personally don't have a problem with it. Again, legally, I don't know the grounds. I'm not a lawyer, but if you can have a company with all dudes, I don't see why you can't have a company with all women. But as you can see, the trailer looked really good. These guys look like they're cooking. I want to let them keep cooking. So give the guys a follow over on Twitter. It's Legacy Steel and Sorcery. Keep an eye for any new trailers that come out on the game. It's available on Steam. It definitely looks interesting. Now, I don't know if I'll play it. I'd like to see more about the game. But so far, it has intrigued me. So I'm going to follow up with it and see what they're able to do. All right, guys. Thank you for your time today. I hope everybody liked the video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel for more mediocre to awesome content, I guess you can say. I'm not the best, I will admit. I do this part-time, but just for fun as a hobby. So yeah, I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time.